Looks like we'll be in for some wet commutes over the next couple of days. Let's get the breakdown from our chief meteorologist, Greg Barnhart.
Yeah, definitely going to be wet, snowy, but as I mentioned before the break, that we definitely could use the rainfall. We've had a dry winter. We're well below precipitation-wise. Going into March and April is our fire season, too, since things aren't grown. So something of concern, but this definitely is going to help. Even though we're going to have some impacts, some travel issues, definitely we could use it. But for tomorrow, really, overall, the day is not too bad. It's really the Tuesday evening is going to be wet, but the winds will still remain light, so that won't be an issue. The transition to snow occurs some point Tuesday night, depending on location. So the Wednesday morning commute will be snow for a lot of areas, or it will be mixed. The wind will be the problem then, too. The good news is by the time you go home Wednesday, precipitation pretty much is ended, and dry conditions, the winds will be a factor, but given that we'll be near freezing, I think a lot of main roads will probably be wet. Then actually side roads still could be slushy or snow covered at times. But for tonight, the big story going into Tuesday morning's commute is the mild conditions too. Our temperatures are not going to fall off too much, barely staying above 40. We will have two opportunities for some light rain or showers coming through. One is about around midnight to about 2 as kind of a couple bands lift north. Generally light rainfall with this. We're not going to see too much. We'll have a break, and then for the morning commute, there could be another opportunity come in with this other area that will develop in Iowa, a little bit more intense. In fact, they might see a rumble of thunder with this one coming through. That'll come through pretty much around 6 to 7, probably stay focused more for I-90 South. So we still could have a wet commute tomorrow, although it won't last too much. By the time we get to 8 or 9, pretty much that pushes east, and for the most part to the early afternoon, it's going to be dry conditions, and our temperatures will continue to climb. In fact, we'll get up towards 50 degrees potentially by noon. In the afternoon, we'll start seeing a little bit of scattered showers developing, but so far not anything steady light rain yet. But here comes this whole huge area. You can see a lot of yellow, moderate rainfall with this. Begin to push up at least by 4 for La Crosse. I think more probably toward 5 or 6 for Eau Claire. But the whole area is really going to see this amount of rain really push across the entire area. Now the transition to snow is going to be a little bit of a tricky one. Right now we're thinking of Claire, probably around midnight or just there afterwards, we'll start seeing that transition coming to rain to snow. Further south La Crosse, probably closer to 4 to 6 a.m. And then points east of the area of La Crosse, we're talking like Sparta, Oaksfield, it may not be until about 7 or 8 you start seeing that transition to snow occur. The winds will be the story, but notice by noon we're starting to see some breaks to the west of the cloud cover. So by the time we get in the afternoon hour, we'll probably start seeing a little bit of clearing skies for some areas to the west of the river. Other areas will continue to see cloud cover, but by 7 p.m. we're not seeing much in the way of precipitation. It's just the wind that'll be the factor too. So that's good news. We will be not seeing that overall. Now rainfall through tomorrow, potentially a quarter or a half, especially further south you go with that little batch that comes up towards the morning commute. Otherwise, a lot of areas will see around the 10th or less. So not a lot of rainfall. It'll be spotty through 4 p.m. But after that, then really it becomes that main line, which could pick up potentially 3/4, maybe even an inch in isolated spots. So some heavy rainfall for that period of time, and that's where you could see the ponding of water. Could see a little bit of rise in some creeks too coming on. Snow amounts during this time, not expecting a lot. The transition really doesn't start till about 10 or so for areas up here. You can see that we're just seeing less than an inch, maybe a little bit more in certain areas. We'll see the snowfall really pick up towards 6 a.m. You start seeing a line developing probably along Rochester to Eau Claire. That could get a little bit of 4 or 6, and then later on we're going to see the amount of snow really pick up. Winds, the other story, 25 to 30 throughout Wednesday, and that could blow around some of the snow, creates visibility. Otherwise, quiet conditions for Thursday, a little bit of precipitation on Friday. That won't be a huge deal, and as we move the clocks forward this weekend, pretty average temperature Saturday, and yes, 50s come back early next week. In fact, some areas may get close to 60 early next week.
Okay.
We'll see if that happens, but overall, definitely if you got travel plans late Tuesday night to Wednesday, pay attention. It's going to be a mess out there potentially.
All right. Thank you, Greg.